10 economic truths Americans must face. 1.
A period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market.
Now, meanwhile, US tariffs, they're not the only trade conflict being faced by
a vanishing economic boom. The recent economic recovery, marked by job growth, a manufacturing resurgence, and infrastructure improvements, could soon be a thing of the past. President Joe Biden's efforts to boost incomes and modernize industries were often downplayed by major media outlets. However, as the economy weakens under Donald Trump's leadership, those same media voices may start looking back fondly on Biden's tenure.
The looming
2.
Tariffs
Economic
rallying the economy and consumers as President Trump threatens Canada with steep reciprocal tariffs on lumber and dairy products up to 250%, which could come as soon as next week. Economists predicting that higher lumber tariffs could unleash pain across the U.S. and would add up to $10,000 to the cost of building a new single-family home. And the threat of tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada have consumers worried about yet another spike in food inflation.
Instability under Trump, while the full effects of Trump's economic policies, massive federal layoffs, erratic trade tariffs, and a ballooning deficit are still unfolding, the economy is already showing signs of distress. His unpredictable decision-making has created instability, undermining confidence in future growth. 3. Disappointing job numbers. The job market is
just 77,000 for the month of February. That's the smallest monthly gain since July, and a sharp come down from the 186 in January. Total private pay was just 178. The estimate was 148.
slowing down, with only 151,000 jobs added in February, far below the expected 170,000. Unemployment has risen from 4% to 4.1%. By comparison, Biden's economy saw a robust December with revised job growth numbers, increasing from 307,000 to 323,000. The contrast is stark, signaling a weakening labor market. A rough week for Wall Street. Financial.
You say you've gone from one of the most bullish to one of the most bearish guests we have on. And so right now, is that your feeling? Watch out for the downside?
Oh, absolutely, Kelly. Look, for months I talked about the S&P going to 6,000, NASDAQ 100 going to 22,000, 22,500, the Dow going to 45,000. That seemed like a pipe dream in early 2024, mid-2024. I talked about this on CNBC on April 10th, almost a year ago. Now we've hit those targets. And so the key factor here is that the major long-term trend driving this rally, the rally off the March 2020 lows and the height of the pandemic, when it became clear that we were going to get historic monetary and fiscal stimulus, that rally is tapped out.
Markets took a hit last week, with the Dow Jones dropping 2.4% and the S&P 500 and NASDAQ falling more than 3%. Investors are rattled by growing trade tensions and policy volatility, leading to broad-based losses across financial and tech stocks. The US dollar also suffered its worst four-day stretch since 2022. 5. Alarming growth decline. Economic growth.
Trade, Tom. I think we've heard this a million and one times. The market does not like uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty out there in the marketplace as it relates to economic policy. You see that in the financial markets here.
You see the lead in the financial markets carry over from what we saw on Friday. We are certainly being covered.
Projections have nosedived. The Atlanta Federal Reserve's GDP NOW model, which estimated a 4% growth rate for the first quarter just a month ago, has now dropped to a shocking -2.8%. This sharp reversal has sparked concerns of an economic downturn, dubbed the Trump Recession. 6. Declining consumer confidence. Consumer sentiment is plummeting, reflecting broader economic fears. Retail sales and real spending have dropped at their fastest rates since early 2021. Walmart has warned of a difficult year ahead, as Americans tighten their belts in response to uncertainty fueled by Trump's trade policies and erratic decision-making. 7. Tariffs drive up costs. Trump's
on imported goods. Who pays them is super critical, and the answer is easy. Americans pay Americans.
American tariffs. If I have a company that does 49ers and I import blank t-shirts from China, I pay that tariff at the port.
Aggressive tariff policies are already raising prices across multiple sectors. Everyday essentials from food to automobiles are becoming more expensive. In places like Nevada, rising costs could make tourism unaffordable for many, cutting into the disposable income of workers in hospitality and retail. 8. A struggling housing market. The housing market.
He said, quote, on President Trump's first day in office, he issued an executive order directing departments
which makes up your wallboard, your drywall. That's another huge component in home construction.
Already burdened by high interest rates, faces further setbacks due to new tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. Key construction materials are becoming more expensive, making it costlier to build homes. Additionally, Trump's proposed mass deportations could create a labor shortage in construction, further driving.
I will seal the border, stop the invasion, and we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history.
Now prices. 9. The risk of stagflation. Economic.
Several weeks you've likely read about stagflation. It's a pretty nasty economic environment where you have essentially stagnant economic growth and high inflation. The last time we saw that was the 1970s, and let's just say it was not good at all for stock prices.
Concerns are mounting as the US faces the possibility of stagflation, a dangerous combination of slow growth, rising unemployment, and high inflation, with deficits climbing, consumer spending slowing, and tax cuts benefiting only the wealthy.
Which is why we saw Tim Cook, Jeff Bezos, Sundar Pichai, and other tech executives blame.
Economic conditions may mirror the worst crises in modern history. 10. An uncertain future. There's little indication.
Times global business columnist Rana Furuha is not convinced, fearing that his plans for deregulation, tax cuts and tariffs will likely bring an economic downturn. She joins Hari Srinivasan to discuss the practicalities of the Trump economic agenda.
Indication that Trump's policies will stabilize the economy. Instead, the combination of reckless fiscal decisions, trade wars, and labor disruptions could lead to prolonged economic hardship. Without a clear strategy to reverse these trends, the country may be on the brink of financial turmoil.
Inherit an economy that was actually doing very, very well, but for a variety of reasons, one being the felt experience of the inflationary blip that we saw, big blip that we saw during COVID, which has hit a lot of people hard, but also an idea that he was able to present that trickle-down works, tax cuts will make the economy grow even faster. We're taking a strong economy, an economy that was working well. You can like Bidenomics or not like it from a political standpoint, but the evidence was that the U.S. had the best recovery of the post-COVID period, so it was working. And he's now going to inflate that economy even more by using debt and deficit to bolster asset prices, to deregulate markets at a time when that's the last thing we need to be doing.